Hey, happy long weekend. I'm in office this weekend instead of out walking in the sun as per my usual weekend videos. But I did want to carry on with the theme that we started last week because it seems pretty important to me. Quick update. Last week we decided we were not going to sign the AFE for the multi-million-dollar forensic accounting audit until after we had first taken just a look to see whether or not our turnaround had been completed in compliance with the company agreed to turnaround process. And we started out by comparing our premise document to the work that was approved and the work that was actually done. And quite frankly, we didn't like what we found there, but that's not a senior leadership issue at this point. So let's push that down to the steering team and the signing authorities who, let that slip through. And let's keep on looking because, now there's a possibility we're not going to sign that AFE at all because it does look like we're really on to something here. So the next thing we want to do once we've decided that, we're going to do a deep dive into this is we want to look at the key deliverables as a whole. And, there's a certain order that I would look at them in, mainly based on, what I've seen in terms of, failure studies. But the key deliverables are all important, and I wanted to spend today to talk a little bit about understanding what your key deliverables are. In any well-developed process, not just the turnaround process, in any well-developed process, there will be something in order of 20%, maybe it's going to be 18 this time, maybe it's going to be 21 the next time. About 20% of the deliverables in any well-designed process will deliver 80% of the process's promise in both cost and schedule. So think about what I'm saying there. That really ups the ante on those key deliverables. So that's the next thing I would advise we take a look at. And just like with the lack of compliance to the premise document we just discovered, as a vice president, we're not going to dig very deep into that. We're going to knock on somebody's door who was supposed to be looking after it and ask some questions. That's what we're going to do with that. So we're going to move on. And I would suggest that if we want to get quickly to the root of the cause here, the first thing I would take a look at is my support plans. So you will have, as a part of your turning process, a whole list of support plans that are required as key deliverables by the turnaround process. And a couple that just come to mind because there's such frequent flyers on failed turnaround studies, you should take a pretty good look at the finance/admin team support plan because, man, I got to tell you, they're a pretty frequent flyer. You should definitely look at your two most important support plans, your HSE support plan and your operations support plan. And you should also, just put an ear to the ground as to what kinds of things were reported to have taken place during the turnaround. So, for instance, if you had a 7.5-hour delay at the bottom of a reactor because an entire team got there and there wasn't a safe work practice to follow to enter the reactor and it had to be built on the spot, then you want to really start looking at that HSE support plan in some amount of detail. Because there's two things you want to know about those support plans. Were they done at all? Three things, really. Were they done? Were they done on time? Right? And were they actually done or were they just a checkbox? Right? And you know what I mean by that. Like, we all know what we mean by that. We've got into a culture where we try not to call it out, but if I'm the vice president of a, $50 million turnaround failure, I'm going to be calling it out. You have a nice day. I got to get back to work. Cheerio.